welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. The expression, the elephant in the room. That's the topic that no one wants to talk about because it's too uncomfortable, although it's on everybody's mind. Well, Makayla Timpson, drafted 19th by the Indiana Fever in 2025, is the opposite of the elephant in the room because so many Fever fans are talking about Timson. They're saying, yo, can we see the Rook out there? Or why can't Makayla get any minutes? Or free Timson. I mean, people liked Makayla from the start. I did a video on that and said, what is it about her that makes her so likable? Because we all just like her. And it is that likability, as well as what people believe she can do for the team, that cause people to be upset because they cannot figure out why Makayla Timson can't play. I'm going to give you my feedback on this, but then I'm going to get to what I find really interesting about this whole thing. Like you, I want to see her play. But if you have been in my live streams, or maybe I commented on something that you made a comment on, I've said this: I'm not in practice. It would be easy for me to sit and go, Makayla Timson should have an opportunity to play, if I was going by my emotions and perhaps what I want to see. But I have to reiterate, I'm not in the practice. All I can say, well, there's quite a bit I could say and will say, but one thing I could say is that for a player to get minutes in a game, a player has to have earned the trust of the coaching staff. And because I'm not in practice, I can't say what might be going on in practice that makes this coaching staff uncomfortable putting her out there. There are a lot of people who might say, well, she can't do any worse than other people have done. And again, to that, I say, I don't know. I've not been at practice. So because I haven't been at practice and it's early in the season, I got to take a step back and say, I don't know what I don't know. I mean, at one point I was like, is she injured and maybe they aren't saying anything? Or does she feel uncomfortable still about being out there and she wants to take her time? I don't really think it's any of those things. I just think that this coaching staff feels that she's not quite ready. And I know that there are people who are going to say, I don't want to believe that. I don't buy that. All I know is I can reflect back on when I was coaching. I remember a particular situation where there was a player, if you saw her in pickup basketball, you would be like, oh, that girl can ball. Man, look at those handles. She was real entertaining. And came into this game, and I knew that her people, her family, her friends were going to be ticked off because I knew that she wasn't going to get minutes in that game. And people were like, put her in the game. Like, you could hear the pressure that you have to deal with. And I'm like, you guys have no idea that she misses practice, that she comes to practice late, that she can't learn the plays, is just struggling with that. She kind of plays out of control. And I'm not saying this is the case with Makayla. I'm not talking about Makayla. I'm just telling you my experience with people who don't know what's going on. So whereas people are saying, oh, she should be getting minutes. Oh, why isn't Ross putting her in? Oh, this Ross got a problem with so-and-so. It's like, no, I don't have a problem with it, but she doesn't come to practice and she doesn't know what she's doing and she's out of control. And so until we get those things under control, she can't play. Okay. And again, when you're just walking in and you're looking from the outside, you think there's something nefarious going on. or she can't coach. Or she's not even using her. She got mad good ball skills. Yeah, but she can't remember who to pass the ball to, or she can't find them because she's out of sorts. So my point being, again, I'm not saying this is Makayla at all. I'm sure she's not missing practice and all the other stuff. I'm just saying that there were people who didn't know what was going on. So I reserve that kind of judgment, especially early on. I also have to say I get it. I get people wanting to see other people play. I get what it is to want to play. I remember early in my playing days in high school sitting on the bench. I remember not getting into a game unless we were way up or way down, so high up you couldn't possibly lose, and so low that you just weren't going to win. I remember playing behind people who were better than I was. One of those people being my sister. But I also remember what it was like to put the work in, and then my time came, and it was my team, and I was the captain, and I was the leading scorer, and I'm going to say one of the best defenders, but I dare say probably the best defender, particularly on-ball defender. I had to put in the time, but I knew what it was to sit on that bench, and I'm like, man, I want to get in the game. I knew what it was to sit on the bench and cry early in high school games. I knew what that felt like. I also knew what it felt like when that thing turned, when those players had graduated, and I was able to showcase what I could do, probably what I felt I could do all along. But sometimes what you think and then what is reality, not the same. But you put in the work, and when your number is called, you're ready. So I absolutely get it. I saw her sitting on the bench or at the bench, even if she was standing during timeouts. I saw her looking, paying attention to what was being said. I'm talking about the game against Washington, paying attention. I saw another time when she did not appear to be paying attention, and she actually looked sad, and it hit my heart. I don't know. I mean, she's a very low-key kind of person. She might not have been sad at all. But just from my perspective, it was sort of like I stepped into her shoes for a moment, and my heart hurt for her, even though she may not have been hurting at all. But my heart hurt for her because I was thinking, man, is she thinking I'm not good enough? Is she thinking, why do they even have me here? Is she thinking, is her confidence hurt? Are her feelings hurt? Is she ticked off? I don't know. I don't know what she's feeling, but when I caught that image of her, it just struck me in the heart, because like you, I want to see her get an opportunity as well. But again, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if she's struggling with physicality. I don't know if she is not being able to keep up with how they want to play the game, the defense, the offense. And because I've seen players who just can't wrap their brains around it. I don't know. But anyway, I look back to when the Fever kept her on the roster, and an article over at fever.wnba.com by Maddie Chandler at feverbasketball.com. And I want to point out just a few quotes that kind of gives me a glimpse into perhaps what the coaching staff is thinking regarding Makayla Timson. A few quotes from this article: Fever foresee bright future for Timson. I'm going to scroll down to this paragraph right here. Nice bright red or orange. That's hard to see. Let's get off of that. It says she's a player who, throughout the course of college, just continued to get better, continued to get efficient, White said of Timson. She does things that you can't teach. She's got a great feel about her and patience, and she's coachable. The decisions that we make, pay close attention to this, the decisions that we make, some are about this year and some are about the future. And KK's got a bright future ahead of her. And this makes me think that perhaps they see her more in a developmental stage than one who's ready to be out on the court right now. And as time goes on, that may change throughout the season. That's why I'm not rattled this early in the season. But again, the decisions we make, some are about this year, some are about the future. She's got a bright future ahead of her. And it goes on to recognize what she's done at college and her ability. So let me go further down. Right here. It says the Fever's investment into Timpson is a statement on the long-term dominance of the franchise. It's a bet on themselves to remain successful and in the championship contention conversation far beyond the 2025 season. So once again, Timpson was seen in this franchise's goal for long-term dominance and contention beyond the 2025 season. Does that mean that she doesn't get to play at all in the 2025 season? No, but it means to say that they brought her in looking long-term. So let's continue. Timpson recognizes the Fever's appetite for success and is dedicated to the work it'll take for her to contribute to that success. Let me repeat. Read between the lines here. Timpson recognizes the Fever's appetite for success and is dedicated to the work it'll take for her to contribute to that success. In other words, I have got to continue. I've got to put in the work so that I will have the opportunity to contribute to the success of this team. So I say all this to say that we look at things and we go, she made the team, she must be ready. Whereas the team, again, sees what we don't see, knows what we don't know, and also we have not heard the conversations that Makayla Timpson has had with this coaching staff. So I'm a true believer that if Makayla is not going to get minutes right now or for a while, that conversation was already had between Makayla and between Stephanie White. And in fact, when I heard Makayla talking early in the season, and she was talking about developing and being around the veterans and being a sponge and learning, you got the sense that she was well aware of what her role would be. Now, we weren't aware of it, but you got the sense that she was aware of it. So here's my thought. You stay ready. Whenever your number is called, you give them whatever they want you to give. But like I said, I was thinking when I saw that face that it looked a little bit sad. And I could be totally wrong, because she could be just paying attention and reflective and thinking and growing and learning and all the things that you want to do as a developing player. But for the fans, it can become difficult because we're not privy to what's going on in practice, and we're not privy to what the agreement was beforehand. But I will say this. I am baffled a little bit because we're all speculating, right? Other people are like, oh, Stephanie doesn't want her because she doesn't want to win. I just got to keep moving when I see comments like that. Or Stephanie doesn't like younger players. Anyway, all speculation about why Makayla Timson hasn't been freed. But one thing does fascinate me and baffles me, and that is this question. Why haven't sports journalists asked Stephanie White about Makayla Timson and an opportunity to play? Now, I wouldn't be baffled by the fact that they have not asked under different circumstances. Every sports person knows that there are players who don't get playing time or have to wait and have to earn it. That's not out of the norm. So Makayla Timson not playing at this point in the season is not, for me either, a surprise at all. It happens. So the fact that a media personality didn't ask that question would not be surprising except that the Indiana Fever is in a unique position. The Indiana Fever has had a shortage of bodies, and the Indiana Fever has found that players have been in foul trouble, like Aaliyah Boston, who's often in foul trouble thanks to these officials who don't want to even let her breathe. So because you got like your Aaliyah Boston, she's in foul trouble, and because you have a DeWanna Bonner and a Natasha Howard who haven't really played in the manner we thought they would play, and I'm imagining that the coaching staff thought they would play, I find it interesting that nobody in the media has said anything to Stephanie White in the press conference. But more than the fact that of foul trouble and other players who haven't played the way we expected them to play, the injuries. You're short bodies that you could throw in there, move the lineup around a little bit, change positions a little bit, and put Makayla in there as a big. And this team is struggling defensively, has struggled defensively, and struggled with rebounding, as I pointed out in my video earlier today. Makayla Timson, if I remember right, averaged 3.1 blocks per game at Florida State just in this 2024-25 season. So where are the sports journalists who are just kind of wondering, not because, oh my goodness, I can't believe she didn't have any minutes, because that happens, especially for rookies. But in this situation where you are short bodies and have been in foul trouble and have a plethora of injuries, I just don't get why the sports media hasn't come into the post game and said, you know, did you think about putting in Makayla Timson to grab some of those rebounds or to help with the foul trouble? I just find that interesting. Post game, that question has never come up, or pre-game. So what's your game plan for Makayla Timson today in light of the fact that you're going to need some rebounding and you're going to need a presence and down low? Nobody has mentioned her. Now, if people have asked and I missed it, because I certainly haven't caught every minute of every post game, I don't think, and I know I don't usually watch the pregame. Maybe I'm missing it. You can put it in the comments if that question is being asked about her. I don't know. I just find it interesting in light of their unique situation. But beyond that, I don't know what's going on with Makayla Timson. It is my assumption that they intend to keep her. I know they don't have to keep her if I understand correctly. I assume they're going to keep her because they're looking at her as building for the future. So those are my thoughts about Makayla, why I withhold judgment, the fact that I do believe they've had conversations about what her role is, and also I'm like you. I hope she gets an opportunity, but I'm not going to freak out if that doesn't come anytime soon because I don't know what they know. But it is sports journalists' job to try to find out so that they know. But nobody's asked. I find that odd, frankly. I know we run on emotions with this because we really like Makayla, but I laid out some substance. So I would appreciate your comments will be filled with substance as well and not just emotion. I know we as a fans, we get really emotional and free. Makayla Timson is what we want and it's what we demand, but it doesn't always happen that way, right? And the media doesn't seem to be interested. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. I thank you for that. Hit the like button for this video. I will catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.